And greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of On the Hash with Hatfield as we talk to you about everything in the world of high school football. Hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving, enjoying it with family, friends, and loved ones. Matt Hatfield here as we stream to you on the Virginia Beach Sportsplex YouTube page. A little bit later than usual. We generally do this podcast for high school football on a Thursday, but since Thanksgiving was on a Thursday, we moved it to Friday morning. Had a couple of technical troubleshooting issues, but we have ironed them out and ready to talk some high school football with you, recapping last week's regional semis, looking to today's and tomorrow's regional championship games. There are 24 across the entire state of Virginia, and we'll actually give you a look at some of those matchups that are forthcoming as far as the high school football scene goes. But make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our Virginia Beach Sportsplex YouTube channel, where we've been bringing you podcasts each and every week, 3 a week, in fact. The field hockey one on Tuesday, the football one, and then, of course, 757 Saturday Sports Talk with yours truly and the coach, Ed Young. We also stream it on virginiapreps.com, on Facebook, on Twitter or X at 757 Sports Talk, and we always want to hear from you. So interact with us, post your comments, your thoughts on the chat, and so much more as we go over all the high school football action. I want to begin here as we go through this edition in segment one on last week's games, the regional semifinals. We said there'd be a little bit more excitement and drama. Well, I don't know how true that necessarily was, given that you look across the board from the lower levels to the bigger levels. So you had a lot of double-digit blowouts. In fact, there was only in Class 1 one game decided by single digits when Alta Vista beat Brunswick 30-26. Class 2 had a couple of close games with Poquoson beating King William 14-6. Amelia over Southampton 14-8, Central Woodstock over Strasburg 8-7. But again, a lot of blowouts. Another one that was tight was Glenver ousting Gretna 38-34 in the 3-2 game. Class 3, we thought we might get some drama. There was some upsets, though. Hopewell got knocked off by Heritage. Kudos to Scott Woodleaf and the Hurricanes, 23-6 over the Blue Devils. So they marched on. Lafayette turned what was a close game into a rout against Lake Taylor, 41-7. Pretty much chalk across the board outside of that, as you had a one seed move forward, except Armstrong pulled a big shocker as well, beating Thomas Jefferson of Richmond 28-0. We'll talk about their game and some others coming up here. Class 4, you've got 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-3 with Phoebus Warhill, King George Verona, Tuscarora, John Champ, Salem EC Glass. Class 5, a lot of chalk. There was some threes knocking out some twos, like Warwick beating Kings Fork 42-13, much more lopsided than many anticipated it would be. So they're going to take on Maury in a great offense-defense clash. Maury's sizzling offense, Warwick's hard-hitting, tenacious defense. Green Run Indian River was good on the wire. It's known as the Cadillac Harris Bowl because he used to coach both schools. An 8 seed, the Cinderellas, William Fleming, taking on Matoka. Stonebridge has got Briarwoods, and in Class 6, you have some heavyweights like Highland Springs still alive. Freedom still alive. Manchester still alive. Madison has lost in the last 2 state championships, taking on Westfield in a Concord District rivalry showdown, if you will. So it wasn't, I don't know, as much drama produced round 2 as we thought it would be or it could potentially be. Nonetheless, here we are with the region championship games, and we still got some great matchups. But before we get to those matchups and hear from some of the sound of the winning players and coaches, a couple of coaches from the Bay Rivers District and a standout running back, let's go through the, as I call it, the Hats Hits. I love these. The takeaways was our final edition of it for this season as we give you the Hats Hits from last Friday night. There's something to be said for playoff experience, and we talk about it with both EC Glass and Fairfax winning the regular season, region titles a year ago. They avenged those losses by double digits to Jefferson Forest, who beat Glass by 23 donut. South County carved up Fairfax, to use the Thanksgiving terminology there, by a count of 50-7 in the regular season, but then turns around Fairfax winning the game 30-6, smashing the Stallions. Jordan Dennis took some hits in that game. It was 20 of 26 for 247 through the air, but Tristan Edwards made a couple nice passes. The sophomore Henry Maltese was big running the ball, special teams, blocking a punt, and Fairfax advanced. So kudos to them on that. We also want to give number 2 on the Hats Hits kudos to Loves Poquoson. They regrouped from a 1-2 start, had some key injuries to Mason McGavern, running back linebacker for them. They just got back one of their standout players to go with Baker Green, who's the speedster. They've really been just exceptional all year long as far as the defense bending but not breaking. They lost Grady Inslee, a lineman, to injury. They got back a couple of the key pieces that were dinged up for them, and here they are, 8 of 9, and now they're going to be taking on Amelia for the region championship. So big ups to Elliott Duty and the Poquoson Bull Islanders. Number 3 on the Hats hits was, how about Armstrong? They achieved the most wins in a season since 1977, but they just thumped TJ 28-0. It's an eyebrow-raising win and one that makes you a feel-good story here as they get ready to take on a very, very, very equipped Brentsville district team that's won the last 2 region championships in 3B. And the last 2 Hats hits thoughts. Big surprise there. But this is a weekend where you sometimes lose those surprises, those Cinderella stories. We'll get to the last one in a second. But what a night for Newport News. We mentioned Heritage winning its 6th in a row. They started out 1-4. Actually started out 1-5 by Alston, top seeded Hopewell 23-6. And Warwick pulls away from Kingsport 42-13. That type of margin makes you believe they can hang with, perhaps even knock off the big bad giant that is Maury. Both went on the road and showed their mettle in a big way. Can they do it again? Heritage is going to take on Lafayette at Warner Stadium on Saturday. Meanwhile, it's Warwick taking on Maury tonight on a Friday. Powhatan Field. It's going to be tough against the Commodores in that offense, but we'll see if Warwick can do it. They lost their one big matchup this year, 10-2. Good physical ball game with Phoebus. This expects to be nothing less than a big physical game. And you've got star power with Masai DeLome for Warwick. And, of course, Maury's got some studs like an All-American and Fred J.R. Johnson. Our Chicho's Pizza player of the week last week is going to South Carolina. The quarterback, Autori Newkirk, has had a breakout year. They've got Devontae Floyd committed to Duke. They just got a bunch of star players on that team that are doing things. LeBron Bonds having a big year as well. And number 5, any better Cinderella story than William Fleming? The 8 seeds playing for original crown at Matoka after they knock off Patrick Henry Roanoke, who had beat them, and Douglas Freeman by a combined 10 points. Nick Leftwich is working his magic in a great way in year number 1 at the helm. So there you have it. That is the Hats Hits, the last edition, as we talk to you here on this wonderful, wonderful Friday after Thanksgiving. We're going to hear a quick sound from one of the winning coaches from last week's game. We were talking about the injuries. We talked about Poquoson just a second ago, and we caught up with Elliott Duty. You heard on our episode last Saturday, 757 Saturday Sports Talk with yours truly and the coach, Ed Young. We had as you see, the little, we have the nice little streaming now. We love that little front page cover. If you haven't seen it, there you go. There's our little heads on sticks, if you will, the cartoonish, if you will. We had Baker Green as well as Chase Bullard after that 14-6 win. You can go back and watch the archived episode if you missed it, by the way. But anyhow, back here on the Hash with Hatfield, we're going to hear now from Elliott Duty, the head football coach of the Poquoson Bull Islanders after the win, to get what he said to us after the game. And we'll come back, take a timeout, and get you set for some of these region championship games coming up, and also hear from Lafayette coach Andy Linn. But let's hear Elliott Duty now on the Hash with Hatfield here on this Friday, Black Friday. All the shopping, all the busyness going on here. It is streaming with us on the Virginia Beach Sportsplex YouTube channel through Hometown Sports Productions. Take a listen. All right, here with Poquoson head football coach Elliott Duty. His Bull Islanders win it 14-6 over King William. Almost an identical score from a year ago when you beat them 14-7, coach, and you're moving on. Another victory here for the region championship next week against Amelia. 9-3 on the season. What has changed for you down the stretch here? Because you knew you had a good football team going into the year. We talked in August, but this team seems to be coming together at the right time and persevering through some tough injuries down the stretch as well.
Yeah, we've lost some kids through injuries. We've gotten some kids back from injury. We've just worked hard, and the kids we've challenged have stepped up and played well. Tonight, it's hard to replace Mason McGavin, but we asked the kid to step in and play fullback. We asked Chase to step in and play linebacker, and they carried the load. So hopefully Monday, Mason will be nice and healthy, and we'll be ready to go next week.
Speak to you have offensively a lot of different guys that can run the ball. You had that third quarter drive, 14 plays, 73 yards, 7:51 off the clock. You almost took the entire quarter off. That was some old school smash mouth of football. You had to be smiling as a coach watching that.
Yeah, that's our style of football.
Yeah.
Hold on to the football, get first downs. It's our best defense. Defense played great tonight, though. They got us the ball back when we needed. We got to stop down here on fourth down. But that's our brand of football. So hold on to the football. 4 yards in a cloud of dust. We break one every once in a while, and we keep going.
It works for you. And Baker Green tonight almost had 100 yards rushing. He's going to Eastern Kentucky for track, 16 carries for 95 yards. It looked like they were taking away some of the jet sweeps and the butt sweep outsides, but your misdirection was working, and you kept hammering in the middle.
Yeah, they gave us inside. They were taking away the jet sweep, so we kind of showed them the jet sweep action, and then we hit them up inside. But they're a good football team. My hat's off to them. But we've been gelling, and we've been playing better and better each week. So
how crucial was it to finish that drive? It's 3rd and goal from the 6 after a penalty, and Eli Tyndall, he's a multi-sport stand-up from baseball, gets the outside play at the quarterbacks, but he makes some plays with his feet and had a couple of nice completions tonight to Ryan Burke as well.
Yeah, he did. Well, we ran waggle. He had the option to either throw it or run it, and he saw he could get the edge, and he ran it. So, they have a good connection between the two of them. So Ryan's played well all year. So I'm glad I got him another year. He's only a junior.
Not too bad.
So,
a couple more for later on. Your linebacker play tonight, I thought it was so great with Bullard there, as well as Nathan. Help me with the last name. Kuros. He had like 15 total tackles from my chart. I mean, those guys really didn't let them break off the big game-changing run.
Yeah, we made tackles when we needed to, and we didn't give up a big play because of it. They did a great job. There a couple of times Baker got loose, and they were sure tacklers, and luckily we were too. We didn't give up that big one where kid goes 70 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah. You play these guys in the region semis. I know last year's region championships become a rivalry the last couple of years here. To get this win here as you go into Thanksgiving weekend, it's got to feel awful good as you get a chance to keep playing and maybe going into December.
Yeah, it feels good to get this win. Like I said, they're an excellent football team, very well coached. I knew it was going to be a tough game coming in here tonight. I knew we were pretty evenly matched, but our kids executed when we needed it and came out here with a win.
Coach Elliott Duty's Poquoson Honors a win away from another region championship and 3 away from the ultimate prize of a state title. Thanks so much, and congrats on the victory.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you much. So that was a tough, hard-fought win for Coach Elliott Duty and the Poquoson Bull Islanders. We're back here with On the Hash with Hatfield as we stream with you on our Virginia Beach Sportsplex YouTube channel, also on X or Twitter at 757 Sports Talk. Amelia's an interesting team. They don't have a lot of huge, major superstar names. They got a quarterback who was all district who had 22 touchdowns, 19 passing, 3 rushing, over 1,000 yards through the air, and Todd Spurlock for the Raiders, 5'9", 160 pounds. He's a senior, plays basketball and football. Also got a really good guy in the trenches that's really stepped up for them in Davion Royal, 6'5", 280-pound left tackle. Justin Perry has been instrumental, wide receiver, senior, going to catch some passes. But you wonder if they have enough defensively against that Poquoson running game in the way they'll try to wear them down. They had that long drive in the second half against King William, and I think Pocoson's got to feel good about getting to that state semifinal round where they'll probably see they're going to see one of 2 teams. They'll probably, if they advance. Central Woodstock, I was going to say, I'm leaning with that defending state champion Riverheads, who lost at Central Woodstock this year, but could be headed to the road again. They had to play Central Woodstock a year ago. Riverheads is certainly no easy team to deal with, having won 30 or 31 straight playoff games, 7 straight state titles at the Class 1 level. We'll get to that in a little bit here, though. But we'll take a time out, hear from some of our sponsors and supporters that make our show possible at the Plex with the folks from Hometown Sports Productions, and come back with more, and then get you set for some of these region championship games, some snapshot little previews and some thoughts on the game, where yours truly and the coach Ed Young are leaning on these games, as I've got just a slim, it's a 1 or 2 game lead. I'll double check the numbers here in a second, but let's take a time out and hear from some former superstars on retirement, if you will, with Frito-Lay Pepsi. Here it is.
Man, I wish I was out there.
Let's unretire.
Why not? Randy Moss.
Dan Marino? You alright?
Hey, Grandpa!
Grandpa?
I still got it.
22.
Career game number 13.
Let's see.
Hey. I need that senior discount.
That's the game. Mr. Marino, you mind if I take a selfie? Thank you.
I'm good right here, bro.
Unretirement? Who'd be dumb enough to do that?
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
Welcome on the Hash with Hatfields. We stream to you on our Virginia Beach Sportsplex YouTube channel, as well as on virginiapreps.com, X, Facebook, Twitter, that is, for people that don't know what X is, or used to be calling us Twitter, 757 Sports Talk there. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll get to some of those region 6A, 5A, 4A, 3A, 2A, 1A, as well as 1B, 1C, 1D, 2B, 2C, 2D, all the region championships, and we'll give you the little bracket breakdown, if you will, on our screen here coming up here. But we heard from Elliott Duty, the Poquoson Bull Islanders. What did the head coach of the Lafayette Rams and one of his standout players, Nazeer Wolmart, have to say after they beat Lake Taylor? It was a tight ball game at the half. Didn't look too good for the Rams when they saw one of their key players go down with an injury. We've talked about injuries this time of year. It can happen to anybody. Happens at every level of sport. I mean, we see it on professional football on Sundays. You know, the Cincinnati Bengals no longer have Joe Burrow. The Cleveland Browns no longer have Deshaun Watson. Quarterbacks are going down left and right. Well, Lafayette was in a dogfight with Lake Taylor, but they turned that into a rout. How did they do it? What was the secret to success? Well, we'll hear first Nazeer Wolmart, and then we'll hear from Coach Andy Linn to get their thoughts on that as they get ready to take on the Heritage Hurricanes in the region championship game coming up on Saturday. The times will be streaming across your screen. Flying across your screen here in just a moment, as well as far as the matchups for tonight and for Saturday across the Commonwealth of Virginia. But first up, let's hear from Nazeer Wolmart. It is on the Hash with Hatfield. I'm here with Lafayette's Nazeer Wolmart. He runs for 68 yards today, a touchdown, had a bunch of tackles, also had a touchdown reception of 38 yards as Lafayette beats Lake Taylor here, 41-7. Naz, last year's team beat you in the playoffs. Was that on the minds all week as you prepared for this matchup? Tell me, be honest with me if you can.
I'm going to be honest. Yes, sir, it was. We were thinking back, hey, we lost 2. They came to our house twice, beat our asses. We had to get it back.
Tell me about it's 10-7 at halftime, but you helped put the team in front with that 38-yard touchdown play. Walk me through that one if you can, that reception from Hayden.
Well, Coach Lynn's been trying to get Hayden to hit me more because 9 times out of 10 I go and guard it because he don't throw the ball to me enough. I'm wide open. 3, he underplayed it, and it just landed right in my arms, and it was pretty. It was a pretty ball.
It seemed like y'all controlled much of the first half. Elijah Washington, their big stud, number 7, got loose for them. I know it's a tough injury seeing your teammate Jaden Brown go down. What was kind of the message from Coach Linn at halftime where it was a 3-point game, and it could go either way at that point until you dominated the second half?
Yeah, we just made our adjustments. He told us execute. He said we're going to make some changes, but we're still going to play our brand of football. We're going to punch them in the mouth every play, and we're going to win.
Sure. I saw you guys earlier in the season on a Monday night game against Smithfield. I feel like y'all were kind of finding your ways till you had some tough battles that awaited for you in the district and the Bay Rivers with War Hill and Poquoson. What have you guys learned from as the season's going on, and how have you gotten better as a team?
We in the beginning of the season we started slow a lot. Now we just came out. We played fast. We played hard, and we played physical. We played our brand of football.
I think you're one of the more underrated two-way playmakers in the BRD and the whole 7-5-7. What kind of makes you tick as a football player? What do you think your strengths are?
I think my strengths are definitely my ability to carry the ball. I think I run harder than most backs you'll see, and my ability to recognize plays defensively.
You get any recruiting attention next level? School showing some interest in you?
I have a couple. Hampton was supposed to come to one of my games this year. They didn't end up showing, but I have more so D3 offers than anything. Okay. D2 interest.
Obviously, Lafayette won a state championship that COVID shortened year. You're now getting closer to that goal of winning it here during a full season. You got Heritage coming up from Newport News, which upset Hopewell. Give me your thoughts on that matchup because it feels like they throw the ball a lot like Lake Taylor does, and they want to air it out maybe on your defense or try to at least.
Yeah, we definitely think that we can win that game. We've came in, our DBs haven't always been the best in certain passing moments, but they've definitely strapped it up and played well tonight.
It's number 1 for the Lafayette Rams. They get it done. Nazeer Wolmart. It's a blue light special when he's in the house. Thank you so much. All the best.
All right, thank you.
Good job, buddy. Good work. Yeah. So Nazeer Wolmart, one of the better players so far here in the Bay Rivers District, as Lafayette is rolling 41-7 over Lake Taylor as they keep it going. The defense has been mighty, mighty consistent for Coach Andy Linn. As you look across the board this year, they've not been torched by really anybody. They had that one game where Warhill hit them for 27, but coming into this matchup with Heritage, giving up just 7 points per game. A lot of players stepping up on that defense. They got takeaways galore, 6 turnovers forced against the Titans, and even had some players that were youngsters step up. And obviously, Wolmart is a big factor for them running the football along with James Spencer. And, of course, Hayden Alexi has stepped up. Elijah Matthews catching a TD, as did Wolmart in this game. 85 yards through the air to go with 185 yards on the ground. They held Lake Taylor to just 51 yards rushing on 23 attempts. What did Coach Linn have to say? How did they get it done with the size advantage being in favor of Lake Taylor? We caught up with him as well to get his take as they prep for the matchup with the Heritage Hurricanes. He also chimes in on that one, as Heritage was a surprise entry into this region championship round after knocking off Hopewell. But here it is, Coach Andy Linn of Lafayette after a win on a sunny Saturday. Just a pleasant day for high school football action in November over at Warner and Williamsburg. It's On the Hash with Hatfield. All right, I'm here with Lafayette head football coach Andy Linn. His Rims win. Start it over again. I missed up your name.
You said our rim.
Tongue twister. Take two. Start over. Give me a point. All right, I'm here with Lafayette head football coach Andy Linn. His Rams win at 41-7 over Lake Taylor to improve their record on the season to 10-2 before the region championship next week against Heritage of Newport News. Coach, you've had a couple of battles with Lake Taylor over the years. It's 10-7 at halftime, sort of a seesaw affair. What did you tell the group at the break to allow your squad to dominate the second half?
Well, I mean, we just told we kind of have a little mantra at halftime. It's always 0-0, no matter what the score is. But as I told them, we can play with them because I think when we played them the last 2 times, they were up in that first half. At the first time we played them, and I think last time was actually tied. They were up 2 touchdowns last year too. So I mean, we were there where we wanted to be, and I said, look, you can compete, you can play. And we just got a couple breaks to go our way early, and then it was just just snowballed.
Yeah, you got some special teams plays that allowed you. Clark Canova hit a field goal, a couple of them today. Braden Smalls, that kickoff to begin the second half. Takeaway for them. You get a takeaway. I thought that third quarter stretch, Elijah Matthews, he gets a pick for you, then catches a touchdown pass. From there, you guys were off and running. What did you see there? Did you feel like you could make them one-dimensional on offense to a degree? Or?
Well, that's what we want. We they punished us the last couple of years because Hank never changed, and Hank's that's a great football player. No, everybody's like, oh, they were 5-5, and no,
scary 5-5.
No one should ever underestimate Lake Taylor ever, and Hank's work. But we were taking away the run pretty good, and if we knew we had to stop the pass because they're 6'7", they're 6'2", and we're not very big. We're not, but we play really, really good defense.
And in some of these playoff matches, it's a chess match. 2 of the best, yourself and Hank. Now they've got a stud receiver and a 6'7" kid going to Syracuse and Elijah Washington. Your front 4 though, Breon Stokes, Daniel Jackson, those guys up front really, I thought, kind of wore their offensive line down. What did you see from your defensive line as this game went on?
Those guys, we're outmanned weight-wise. I can't even tell you about how much, but Peter, Breon, and Daniel have been like that all year now. I mean, Peter's got, I think, probably 15 sacks on the year, and he's a 195-pound defensive end. But, I mean, he's got a motor that doesn't go. And if we know that we can move and get to you if we do things right. But the defense, Coach Wheeler's done a phenomenal job with the defense all year. I mean, I don't read all this stuff. But somebody said they were like, we've only given up the 8th amount of,
Yeah.
We'd only given up 64 points or whatever, and then just a touchdown a day. So I mean, that's pretty good.
Well, yeah, 7 points for him coming in. You hold him to just 7 here, even though Washington gets all this receiving yards, and you got Cook and Stokes. He's got to make the plays defensively. To get 6 takeaways, I think it was 4 interceptions. Yeah, I mean, you had different guys step up. I know you had a freshman in Love back there in the second. You had different guys make plays
last week too.
Did he really?
Yeah. So we lost somebody last week. Did a stupid thing in the game, so he's out for the whole playoffs. But we battled through some injury. We lost an outside linebacker today, and he's our starting fullback too.
Jaden Brown, right?
Yeah. So we lost a couple, but the kids have stepped up and just kept battling. We've kind of gone under the underdog mantra all year. We just, everybody, we've kind of always been an afterthought now, which I don't care, and they don't care either,
Well, I think your kids get up for that. You've won a state championship a couple years ago, but you've heard there's been better Lafayette teams. So what? You want to win this one, right?
No, right. There have been better ones, but you play who you got to play.
Right.
That's what it comes down to.
When you have a kid go down like Brown, we just watched this with Poquoson just last night. It's hard for kids to get back up when that happens, right? For a little bit, a couple possessions, perhaps.
Yeah, and so. The good thing for us is, we do prepare really well for the next kid to step up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and
we're fairly young. We're not everybody. We're a fairly young football team, and so the young kids are getting a lot of great experience, and they're stepping up and doing good jobs.
Good shout, these two, and I appreciate the time. You have some really good players with Elijah Matthews, James Spencer, Nazeer Wolmart, number one. I felt like he was all over the field today, catching the ball, running the ball, and defensively.
He's really our guy. I mean, he's been the guy all year. James had the 1,000-yard season, but Naz is a guy you move him everywhere. You can put him at fullback. You can put him at wing. You can do some things if you want to put him. He's the guy that gets
Maybe
out.
Maybe your most versatile guy?
Yeah, he's the guy that went out there and led on that block for Elijah getting the – and then if there's a guy coming downhill now, he comes downhill. He doesn't get tackled very easy.
Yeah, I was just saying to Nas, lastly, you play Heritage, a surprise, the 5th seed who beat Hopewell here in the region championship. You get to host them here at Warner Stadium. They throw the ball a lot like Lake Taylor does. They got Gurley, they got Sterling Anderson. Your thought on that matchup and a chance to go back to states?
Well, I mean, they're very good. You watch them now; they've really peaked. They got to Game 5, but since then now, the quarterback's really good. The quarterback and the one I think whatever receiver, I don't know any of their names. I barely know my guys' names, but the quarterback and the receiver are just, you watch him. I watched the game last night, and I mean, he can sling it now. Yeah. He can sling it. But they're not as big as this group, so that helps us a little bit, I think. We were outmatched to a man today weight-wise. I mean, Mike Center's 220 and the nose guard's 360. I mean, that's a problem, so. But, they come in, they're passing, they're peaking at the right time, and it's anybody's game. But we get them here, and you can't ask for more than that.
What's not a problem is you're winning and going on to Thanksgiving weekend. All the best. Congrats on winning.
Play on Thanksgiving weekend. It's a good year, buddy. There's no doubt.
Absolutely. Think about it. So that was Andy Linn, a winner over the Lake Taylor Titans, 41-7. Really impressed with how they performed and rather convincing in that ball game. And it's going to be a really tricky test for them in the way that Heritage can throw the football, because Lake Taylor did get some passing yardage on the Rams, 193 yards in that game, and Sterling Anderson's going to be a big factor, catching it from Derek Gurley. The Heritage offense can hit the big play. Question is going to be, can they block up front to give Gurley enough time in that matchup? Certainly going to dictate a lot of the flow there, as Heritage is averaging 35.7 points per game during this hot streak, and their defense has stepped up their play. You're going to have to tackle well against that running game with Braden Smalls and Nazeer Wolmart, as well as James Spencer, trying to gash them on the ground. We'll take another timeout and come back with my region playoff championship games. There's 24 of them. My picks on that, as well as Coach Young's picks. You'll hear from both of us on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. It'll be at a much earlier time so that it'll allow me to get over to the peninsula side of the water for one of the region championship games. You got a couple on Saturday locally in Hampton Roads with undefeated War Hill taking on unblemished Phoebus, who's trying to get their three-peat, a third consecutive state championship. You also have Lafayette at 1 o'clock playing host to Heritage over at Warner. The Phoebus War Hill kicks at 12 noon. A bunch of games around the state. You'll see our ticker share all those with you that you have across the entire Commonwealth. A bunch of games today here on a Friday afternoon, some at 1, some at 1:30, some in the evening. We'll have you covered on VirginiaPreps.com with all the scores and all the action with our scoreboard, our state message board. But let's take our time out here from One Life Fitness, One Inspired Life, as well as
Treat yourself to a visit to the Drip Bar IV Hydration and Vitamin Therapy in Virginia Beach. Boost your immunity, increase your energy, and promote anti-aging with our personalized treatments designed to ensure efficient nutrition absorption to rejuvenate your mind and body. Come see our chic and relaxing day spa for yourself today. We welcome walk-ins and appointments. Our medical professionals will help you achieve your best health and answer all your questions. The Drip Bar at Lansdowne Commons in Virginia Beach.
And we're back here with On the Hash with Hatfield as we stream to you on our Virginia Beach Sportsplex YouTube channel. It's the time that I know I've been waiting for, and hopefully you all have been too, as we've gone through 30 minutes of this show, half hour, a little more than that, and it's now going to be a chance for us to get through some of the region championship games for you as far as who's playing who, what do we need to check out here. Region finals, you see the ticker going to display some of those matchups that you need to watch out for, but let's give you some picks as well as who's going to win these games. Yours truly and the coach Ed Young have predicted some of these games, and we'll tell you where we disagree. We don't disagree on a lot of these as far as the outcomes go coming up tonight and tomorrow across the entire state of Virginia. As far as the picks go, who's winning the battle? Well, right now it's looking like I am at as I check the totals, sitting at 117-23 to his 115-25. We both were 39-9 in round number 2 on the picks. So there you have it. He's hanging tough in the postseason. I thought I could shake him, but he's hard to shake in the playoffs, even though he's getting ready for basketball season. So let's go through what's going to take place here across the state of Virginia here on this glorious Friday afternoon. As we see, there's Region 6C. We'll scroll it up a little bit, though, to start with Region 6A. Highland Springs, Manchester. This ought to be a great game. 41-35. It was the first time they met. A rematch from earlier this season. George Lovelace catching the game-winning touchdown pass with just a couple minutes left from Christian Martin, the Maryland commit. And I would tell you that I feel like Highland Springs is going to get the job done here, but Manchester, I'm not going to sell them short. They can pull this out. You know, Manchester has not beaten Highland Springs since 1964 in this series, and they've had some battles, some playoff matchups that were certainly intriguing, and they're going to need Devin Bryant, who ran for 129 yards and 3 touchdowns, to complement the passing skills of Landon Abernathy and really keep the Highland Springs defense off balanced here. Mekhi Byerson off the edge, the West Virginia commit, is a force. If he can break down the pass protection for Highland Springs, it'll give them an even better chance to pull out this win. But I like Martin's poise. I like his ability to get this job done for the Springers, as they are used to these spots. They've been here before. They're no stranger. He's got a good running back as well, and Eric Bird, a sophomore who's run for over 1,300 yards and 18 touchdowns this year. Really, Martin has only had one, you could say, less than fine performance, and that was against Maury, who's going to be, I think, playing for a Class 5 state final coming up in December. They're playing for a region championship later on. We'll talk about with Warwick. But Brennan Johnson on defense, he's a stud. Coach Lauren Johnson's son, 76 tackles. I think the Springers are going to pull this one out. Should be a good game. I've got it scored to be on our picks that you'll see on our VIP board on virginiapreps.com if you want to check them out later today at high noon. I've got it 28-20. Ed's got it 21-16. So there you have it. We gave the scores here for that one. Scroll down to Region 6B, the finals. Freedom of Woodbridge taking on Battlefield. You see how they got there by beating Colonial Forge 52-16. Tristan Evans had 5 touchdown passes on 15. Actually, that he had 15 of 20 for 253 yards and 3 touchdowns against Potomac, then 5 TDs against Colonial Forge, 3 of them to Juju Preston, who just picked up an offer from the Clemson Tigers. But they also have Jeffrey Overton Jr., a tremendous running back, a junior who was state player of the year a season ago, and in 2 playoff games, he's got 581 yards and 10 touchdowns in 2 playoff games. There's some high school kids that don't get that for an entire season. I feel like he's just going to be too much for Battlefield, which has gotten great games from the Minkowski brothers, Cameron and Brandon, both terrific ball players in their own right, and a tremendous game for Brandon Binkowski for Battlefield. Their last time out, as they got it done against Mountain View, they overcame a deficit of about 10-0, I think it was, against Mountain View to pull it out, and he had close to 200 yards receiving in that game. Cameron was defensive player of the year in the Cedar Run District. They've got Callum O'Shea who can throw it. Battlefield's physical, but Freedom just has, I think, too much speed for just about anybody to handle, and I like them to get this job done in this game. I don't think it'll be a total blowout here. I think Battlefield will be in the ballgame and have a chance to win, but ultimately I got Freedom 41-21 in that one. As we scroll down to the next one here in Class 6, I should say, Region C, the Occoquan region, really stunned by Fairfax. We talked about it earlier with Henry Maltese blocking a punt. They beat South County 30-6 to avenge that 50-7 loss, and they're doing this without Chris Jones, the Georgia commit, one of their stud linebackers, along with Drew Taylor, also a standout for them, both injured on the shelf here. I wonder about if they can hang in there against Lake Braddock, who won the regular season matchup 21-9. Coach Young has this as a 2-point game, 26-24 in favor of the Bruins. I've got a 3-point game, 30-27. I think Kai Austin, who had 3 catches for 104 yards the last time out, he's 15 yards receiving away from 1,000 for the year. I think he'll have a big game, as will Xavier Marin. And sophomore Tyrone Jackson had 17 tackles the last time these two teams meet. So someone's got to make a play on defense. Fairfax's defense is playing really well, but I think Mike Doherty's Bruins, it's their time here to break through. After I doubted them against West Springfield, they proved me wrong, 38-21. I'm not going to doubt them here in this spot for a region championship coming up in Class 6 Region C. Winner moves on. And by the way, they're going to cross brackets. So the winner of the Fairfax Lake Braddock will end up taking on the winner of the Freedom Battlefield, I believe it is. And Highland Springs is going to take on, actually, I think I have that backwards. I think it's the winner of, check that now. I think Highland Springs is going to take on, if they win, or Manchester is going to take on, if they win, the winner of James Madison Westfield. So it's, I think it's that's there, or no, I'm all confusing myself here to death here. I think it's the winner of Highland Springs Manchester takes on the winner of Fairfax Lake Braddock. Meanwhile, you get the winner of Battlefield Freedom takes on the winner of Madison Westfield. So that's what you're looking at there as far as the state semifinals will go in Class 6. Madison Westfield, these two played earlier this year. Good ball game. In fact, if you look at the history with these two teams, Madison and Westfield, you see that Madison from 2016 to 2019 lost all 5 meetings, 3 decided by 7 or less. They've returned the favor, 4 straight wins, 21-16 last year, 28-24 coming from behind this year. I like what Coach Justin Counts has done here. They lost so many seniors, but they just reload. They don't rebuild. Certainly Matthew Jenks and Connor Moore have to be accounted for Westfield. There are 2 of their standouts that were all Concord performers, and you never count out Kyle Simmons. He's a terrific coach who knows what he's doing. He's won a trio of state championships, so they're used to the big game at Westfield, much like Madison has become used to it. I got Madison taking this one 22-16, even though I think certainly Jenks and Morin can have big games, and wouldn't even put it past a Landon Murphy to step up for Westfield. I just like the nucleus of Madison. I think they can run it. They can throw it. They're adept at really adjusting to what the situation the game presents them, and I like them in this spot to move on. And they're going to have a tough sled here once again. I mean, they've run into Freedom and Oscar Smith the last 2 years in the state final, and those were 2 just historically great teams from a statistical standpoint. But this Madison team, they don't blink. They beat Stonebridge to start the year, and they do have some key pieces back from those teams that made the state finals, like Dominic Nicely and Darren Nicely and Cordy Yates. So give me Madison to take this one against Westfield, and what could be a last possession, team with the ball last, winning the ball game ultimately. As we move on to the next bracket here, Class 5 Region A, you have Green Run, Indian River. This is a game that a lot of folks have been looking forward to. Stallions and Braves. I think this game, we talked about it last Saturday with Coach Young and me. The pass rush of Indian River, can they deal with Jordan Harris, who's got a school record 21 sacks and counting? You got Johnny Shaw, you got Hyson Gordon, Camille Mason at the linebacker spots. They can sort of take away the run. Green Run's got to establish a running game here to take the pressure off Kassan Farrar, their quarterback, and get those receivers down the field to challenge that Indian River secondary. That's a matchup people are watching, is the Indian River secondary with Trey Voskanyan and those DBs. Can they match up with the wide receivers like Brody Adams and Tayshawn Young, Steve, and Jane Anderson? But ultimately, up front, this game is going to be decided in a lot of ways. Going with Green Run in a close one, as is Coach Young here. It would not surprise me if Indian River has the ball late and Tyler Allison has a chance to be the hero driving them down the field. They're going to need those playmakers to step up on 3rd down. Davion turns, catching the bubble screens. Also get those second and medium, second and short run plays to be converted into 1st down, so they're not having to convert so many 3rd downs, with Rayvon Moore, Kakoa Benavente helping spearhead that running attack, along with Malachi Hinton, the world-class speedster, and he is a sprinter that can take it to the house 50-plus yards and break off the big plays. Green Run's wanting the big plays. They got that last year against Kempsville. They erased any doubt quickly in that ball game. Indian River wants to stay in this and make it a game in the 20s or below. If Green Run jumps out to a 2 or 3 score lead, it's hard to catch them, and Indian River has to control the tempo. The tempo is going to be big in that game. It's also going to be big in the Maury and Warwick game. Maury wants to get, I think, out to a quick lead and put the pressure on Warwick, who offensively, when you look at them as far as the numbers go, they haven't been tearing it up every week, although last week they had a great rushing performance, and they've really been able to get their ground attack going to, I think, alleviate the pressure on Eduardo Rios. You've got Rajana Hammond running the ball 1,000 yards this year. You've got Cameron Glenn. They have some pieces there to go with Delhomme, who is their big-time playmaker. You can put him at Wildcat, throw him the football, move him around as a versatile chess piece. Really, this game is about the greatness of the Warwick defense and the greatness of the Maury offense. Warwick's defense has given up just 36 points all year, 3 a game. They had not given up a touchdown until Phoebus scored on them with their defense. Isaiah Emery at linebacker, can he take away those running backs and neutralize what they do running the football with Leon Clark and Melvin Lowe and Damari Palmer? And Maury doesn't mind that if you do, because they have Altori Newkirk, who is just having a year for the ages throwing the ball for Maury, and it just continues the mastery they've had of these great quarterbacks with Doree McCain at the helm, going back to when they had Mario Miller last year. They had Eric Gibson, state title year. All these quarterbacks end up being among the top performers in Hampton Roads, and he's accounted for over 3,500 yards and 44 touchdowns throwing and running this year. He has a host of weapons. You can't take away just one receiver, double anybody. They have too many guys that they can beat you with LeBron Bond, Fred Johnson. Got Maury in this one. I'm really curious to see if it's going to be a higher scoring game or lower scoring game. I think it's going to be in the teens or 20s. Got the Commodores by 2 touchdowns in this one, but Warwick is coming to play and they have a chance to win it. Real key is going to be for Warwick, I think, surviving that early Maury punch. They're going to try to go for that big play early and see if they can get that momentum on their side. Now, Nance went over hanging there with them. It was 34-14. It wasn't one of those 50-60 burgers, and I don't see Maury doing that to Warwick because of their defense being so strong here and sturdy. Eduardo Rios is going to have to throw the football on target, a little bit better needed against Phoebus for the Raiders to have a chance to knock off the Commodores and win a second straight regional title after winning it in Region 4A a year ago over at Kings Fork. Maury's going for their 6th consecutive region title, and I think they're going to get it ultimately. Region 5C, you have William Fleming taking on Douglas Freeman. William Fleming taking on Matoka. They just beat Douglas Freeman 23-20. Matoka blitzing Mills Godwin. Game was not close whatsoever. 27-16 is my pick here for Matoka. It's their deepest playoff run since consecutive years falling to Jefferson Forest in 92-93 in the state championship. Caleb Williams off the edge is a problem. You've got Bryce Yates. You got some good receivers, Dylan Newton Short. I like what they can do against this Fleming team, which has been a really Cinderella story. Before the 4-game winning streak that they're on, they had 3 losses by 8 points or less to Patrick Henry, Roanoke, Lord Botetourt, William Byrd. They're going to have to run the football and keep Matoka off the field, win the time of possession. I don't think they'll do that in this game. But, hey, they are really the feel-good story of the way they've won. They've gotten 23 the last 2 games. They get 23 in this spot. I think they have to feel comfortable that their defense can bend but not break and give them an opportunity to get the victory. How about Stonebridge taking on Briar Woods? These 2 teams met earlier this season in the regular season, and it was Stonebridge prevailing 29-12. Mike Burnett has beaten Stonebridge twice, but that was when he was at Tuscarora. He's got a quarterback who's moving it with his feet, and Brady Carmichael, Colin Capistrano, a receiver who can get it done, but Miles Turpin and Stonebridge, I think, too much. They've got a myriad of backs, whether it's Marquez, this guy, that guy. It doesn't matter who's running the football for Stonebridge and Mickey Thompson. They find a way to get the job done, and I think they will ultimately do so again here in this spot. My score is picked right now at 31-16 Bulldogs over the Falcons. I like the way their defense is starting to rev up a little bit in play. They held Massaponax to 14, and I think they will have another good effort here on defense in this spot against the Briarwoods Falcons. And really, I think their defensive line could collapse the pocket on the young quarterback Carmichael for Briarwoods. And Naeem Abdul Rahim Gladding has really stepped up at wide receiver for Stonebridge this year, a new face. I think he's poised for a monster playoff game. You got Turpin with the 3 picks on defense. I think it is coming in, and he's headed to Wake Forest. Jordan Kaiser's another guy that they can use in space like Turpin, run the ball, jets, sweeps, screens. They have a lot of different weapons, and Stonebridge is wanting to get back on that horse and back to a state final where they have been before and are no stranger under Coach Thompson. In Class 4 Region A, Phoebus Warhill. The storyline here is Phoebus is starting quarterback Adonis Stowers on the shelf for the rest of the year, so that thrusts in a freshman. Now, a mighty, mighty good one for Jeremy Blunt's team, and I think they're going to still be fine offensively. I would not be panicking if I'm a Phoebus fan. You have an awesome defense. I mean, an absolutely rock-solid, awesome defense that has given up all year long. We're talking just a total of 18 points. And we're talking with that 8 shutouts on the year. They've not given up double digits to anybody. And Warhill comes in with a pretty balanced and explosive offense. They don't have Jaden McAdoo. They're averaging 47.6 points per game. Liam Francisque has been just wonderful at quarterback, moving from running back for Warhill this year. I just wonder if they have enough as far as converting the third downs, sustaining the drives with the running game without McAdoo. It's a big, tall order for them in this spot. I don't see it happening. I think Phoebus's defense is just too good, led by Anthony Reddick, who's going to Maryland. You've got Tayshawn Stevenson. You've got a bunch of players. Brendan Thompson's been taking people's heads off at linebacker all year long. And Keontae Gray out wide at receiver. He can break a play just as easily as Talon Edie can for Warhill, who's putting up, close to 70, 80 yards receiving a game. So they're going to miss McAdoo in this spot. I do think it's going to be a tight ball game. I think it's 24-8 is my call for Phoebus in this one. I don't think they put up a crooked number like they did in that first game or even against Hampton, 56-8. I do think Warhill's defense will step up and challenge Phoebus's passing game to have to convert, as they've got a freshman in there, Maricus Banks, that's going to have to be the guy that steers the ship. And I think he'll do so well. I think the Phoebus coaching staff will put him in spots to be successful and not make him have to force things, if you will. So Maricus Banks is a name that really gets a chance to make his mark like Jaden Early did a year ago when Nolan James got hurt in the state semis and could not play in the finale that they had for the championship over there at Liberty University against Heritage of Lynchburg. King George Verona. Oh, this is an exciting game right here. How about King George's offense last week? They put up almost 400 yards passing against Dinwiddie. Jack Pearson, one of those two big play wide receivers. Makai White headed to Maryland, and Chance Wiggins, who's going to Virginia Tech. And now for Verona, their only 2 losses this year came to Class 6 title contenders Highland Springs 20-19, Freedom of Woodbridge 35-27. They've pitched 4 shutouts this year. We saw how Weiss came in for Linwood Johnson at quarterback. Damari Carter's been special on the outside. Coach John's going Verona 20-18, and he might not be wrong. I'm going to go with the Foxes, who outfoxed me and a lot of people last week. 21-14 is my pick. I like this game a lot. This is going to be a real thriller, I think, on Saturday for folks to check out in Class 4. Tuscarora, John Champ, Greg Spiller going to Delaware. Fletcher Westfall, offensive lineman for Tuskegee. He's headed to Florida. This one's going to be a fun one here. I think that the John Champ defense, I have a little bit of concern about them against Tuscarora's balance on offense, able to go up tempo. I look at the stats, and statistically, this is Tuscarora's best defense, just 8.9 points per game allowed on the year. And since the opening loss to Briarwoods 27-13, John Champ has been rolling 10 straight wins. They've scored 50 plus. I don't think they do so here. This is a 20-15 type of game for me, going with Tuskegee to get the job done against Champ. Region 4D, Salem and EC Glass. I look at this matchup, a couple of All-Americans for Salem in Peyton Lewis and Chris Cole. Lewis is going to Tennessee. Cole is going to Georgia, but they're more than just that. And I think this is a game where somebody's going to really burst on the scene in a new way for Salem besides those 2 marquee performers. And this is the type of game where Don Holter's team, I think, will win it up front in the trenches. Remember, they had a 49-10 win over Christiansburg earlier this year. And the quarterback, Eli Taylor, had an injury, came back 8 for 10. I think he's going to step up in this game, but I also look at the likes of Josiah Moyer. I feel like Kamari Garner. There's some other guys that will help Josiah Persinger. This is not a 1 or 2 man show with just Cole and with Lewis. And in EC Glass's case, beating Jefferson Forest last week, I thought that was a big stunner. And remember, this is revenge on the minds of Salem, losing that game a year ago to the Hilltoppers of EC Glass. Jamar Lovelace, in his first year as head coach, has done a nice job here with this program. I don't see them really slipping at all, but Michael Thomas is the guy that brings it for EC Glass. He's got almost 900 yards rushing, 15 TDs, 133 tackles, 20 for loss. I think Salem's defense is going to buckle down on him and force them to throw. Remember now, Glass's passing game is pretty good with Marty Cottrell and with Max Calloway being sort of the 1-2 engine for them. Those 2 combined for nearly 400 yards last week, but it's not the same as George White last year with the passing attack that they had. So give me Salem to take this one in this matchup. I like the Spartans to prevail in this ballgame. We're going to take a timeout and come back with more, including my Class 3, Class 2, and Class 1 primers right here. It's On the Hash with Hatfield as we stream with you on the Virginia Beach Sportsplex YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back with just a little more here to go through the Class 3, Class 2, and Class 1 finals from the Plex in Virginia Beach.
Man, I wish I was out there. Let's unretire. Why not? Randy Moss.
Dan Marino? You alright?
Hey, Grandpa!
Grandpa?
I still got it.
22. 22.
Can we again? Number 13.
Let's see.
Hey. I need that senior discount.
That's the game. Mr. Marino, you mind if I take a selfie? Thank you.
I'm good right here, bro.
Unretirement? Who'd be dumb enough to do that?
Okay, who here has reached peak fall?
Peak what?
Peak fall!
I am wearing plaid.
And I'm wearing a cardigan.
I guess I am eating snickerdoodle cookie dough.
And I am eating a pumpkin pie blizzard.
The new DQ Fall Blizzard menu has reached peak fall. Pumpkin pie, snickerdoodle cookie dough, and more. They are back!
I just love fall.
Apparently we all do.
Oh, they did it! Peak fall achieved! DQ, happy tastes good.
And we're back here with On the Hash with Hatfield. Let's return to our playoff preview as we are always bringing the football podcast each and every week with our Virginia Beach Sportsplex YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe to that for much, much more as we go back to the brackets. We went through Class 4, picking Salem over EC Glass. In fact, my official score for those that are wondering on that, I've got the Spartans prevailing 34-21. Ed's got it 26-22. As for Region 3A, he's got Lafayette 20-18 over Heritage. I've got it 24-13. We talked about it. I just think Lafayette's got the mixture to move on in this game. Not going to count Heritage out, though, because that has happened before and it proved me wrong. Now, here's an interesting game. Armstrong and Brentsville. The coach for Armstrong, Jeremy Pruitt, has been suspended due to some social media posts. 28-0 win over TJ of Richmond. But the quarterback for Brentsville, Caleb Alexander, is possibly going to be a scratch. He might not play in this game. Even if he's not healthy, though, I feel like Brentsville has enough weaponry. Coach White there has shown The last 2 years, they have different ways to reinvent themselves. Nico Orlando, running the football is very good. Trent Hayes is Mr. Versatile for them anyway. He can play some quarterback, can run it, catch it, make some things happen. Orlando's run for over 1,200 yards. Tyler Owens has got nearly 900 yards receiving. And they have a mixture of guys they can throw in there. Don't think they're a one-trick pony, and I like them to get this job done against Armstrong. But Armstrong, if their defense replicates what they did against TJ of Richmond, this can be a tough game for Brentsville. They want to certainly make them one-dimensional and lean on the new quarterback having to throw things if Alexander does not go in that contest. I got it 30-12. Ed's got it a little closer at 24-16. As far as some other matchups across the Commonwealth of VA, we go down to Region 3C, where Liberty Christian has been humming all year long. They beat Rustburg 45-13, although their defense did give up some big plays to a degree in that ball game. Turner Ashby was much sharper in its win over Spotswood than they were in last year's, I should say, the regular season finale. Lost in overtime, where they lost on basically a 4th and goal pass at the end of the game. I don't think Turner Ashby will be able to hold up with what LCA does up front. Easton Ware is a big factor. Gideon Davidson running the ball. They've lost the last 2 times in the playoffs by counts of 50-19 and 22-16. 22-16 was a lot closer there in 19, but give me LCA in this game. I don't think this one's going to be all that tight when push comes to shove. Coming up on the region championship game for this one with the Bulldogs of LCA and with the Knights of Turner Ashby. As I'm looking for, and for some reason I can't seem to locate it at this exact moment. I don't know why it is slipping my grasp here. As we go back to some of these matchups, here we go. As you see the times coming up for these games with the 4A and the 3A games. Looks like the Turner Ashby game with LCA, as I'm looking back to my schedule here, looks like that game is actually going to be tonight. I thought it was Saturday game, but it is tonight with those two. Moving down the bracket here, 3D in our last couple minutes. William Byrd, Magna Vista. Magna Vista has been really, really lethal offensively behind Simeon Moore, quarterback. Israel Hairston for William Byrd has been quietly a really, really good performer. I've got Magna Vista in this game, 27-24 in overtime. Won't be surprised if Byrd hangs with them. Their defense has performed very, very well, especially against Lower Botetourt, 41-14. They held them in check. Will be a lot harder to hold those skill guys and speedsters of Magna Vista in check. But this is a game that could be the game of the night. Outside of the 35-34 escape against Gretna and the 27-20 comeback against Christiansburg in the regional semis, Magna Vista has been winning convincingly all year long. Like what Joe Ferreira has done. Brought back a lot of pieces. J.J. Sprigg on the ball. I think it was 18 starters we talked about here. Coast Familia like the Bull Islanders in that game. Region 2B, Central Woodstock Riverheads. This is a rematch. 8-7 regular season. It's the same score that Central Woodstock had against Strasburg in the semis. Riverheads has won the 31 consecutive playoff games. Central Woodstock knows Caden Cook Cash is coming. He's going to have a full tank ready for this matchup, and this is going to be a hard game, a really, really hard game for Central Woodstock to win again. I know Coach Mike Yu has talked about having to be crisper, finish their drives better. They had about 250 yards the last time they played of offense. Nathan Lopez is a beast on defense for them. The Riverheads defense, I think, has gotten better from the start of the year to now, giving up just 11.6 points per game, and they played well in that first matchup. I just wonder what Central Woodstock goes to if they can't establish the running game in this ballgame. You see the same thing can be true for Riverheads without Caden Cook Cash, but they've found so many ways to win over the years. Before Cook Cash was there, they've won all these state titles. So I'm going with Riverheads. I'm going out on a limb here in this game, I guess you could say, because they lost the first time. Maybe not that big of a limb. 14-13 for me, Gladiators. Ed's got it 14-12, Central Woodstock. I'll be surprised if either team gets above 28 in this game. This feels like a close, to the vest game. And line of scrimmage is going to dictate this game. The offensive line playing. It's hard to go against Riverheads this time of the year when it comes down to that. I don't know that Woodstock has that one game breaker or speedster that can open up the contest for them. 2C, Radford Glenver. Certainly Glenver has got guys that can make things happen. They got a quarterback who's very good in Brody Doyot. But Radford, the first time they played, This was not competitive at all. Landon Clark did whatever he wanted. It was 36-3. Bobcats, I don't see it changing a whole lot in this one. I think Glenver does have the offense to make more things happen, but do they have a way to stop Clark, who had a 60-yard pick six in that game? And they threw it for 178. They ran it for 144 the first time. I'm not sure Glenver's defense has enough ways to stop all the holes there, whether it be Knight, Thompson, Taylor, and of course Clark can run it or throw it and beat you in multiple ways. Great game out in 2D. Union versus Graham. Oh, I love this matchup. The G-Men. Remember the first time they played this year, Union got it done, and it actually snapped the little streak that they had in this series. This is a Saturday game, afternoon matchup. Good one to go check out. Line of scrimmage was controlled by Union. I don't see it being the case as simply this time. I think Omari Hill's going to have a bigger impact in this game. I think Tydress Clements certainly is healthier and going to be ready for this game. Keith Chandler is having a great year for Union. The yardage was close in this last matchup. It was 274 to 256. And Tony Palmer talked about being outplayed in this game the last time when Clements had an ankle injury. They also didn't have Sean Hughes at their disposal. I think Graham is ready for revenge. Now, Union, their defense has come to play this postseason, just giving up 6 points in 2 games. And Graham had to shake off a slow start against Gate City, 28-7. Turnover is going to be big in this one. If Union's defense can force a couple of those turnovers, and they have guys on the back end, Paul Huff being one of them, that can get his hands on a football and make that game-changing play, they can win it. But this is going to be a really tight ball game. Both Ed and I have Graham winning by 6 points or less in that one. And as we finish up here with time, and the candy keeping my throat from going out here, you've got Essex Northumberland. Markel Cockrell, remember that name for Northumberland. He is having a sensational year for the Indians, who have put up so far in the playoffs. 70 in round 1, 42 in round 2. But does Northumberland have the defense? They've given up 26 and 24 in 2 games. That would be my concern, because Essex, well, they have all these new faces from this season compared to a year ago. All these new faces that they have on offense, they still do what they do. They're a lot like Riverheads, and they're just a well-oiled machine. They don't seem to budge or blink. 36-0 over Lancaster in the regional semis. Had a nice combination with the running game to get the job done in that game. I think they will be victorious again. I don't see them struggling moving the ball against the Northumberland defense. This could develop into a blowout, and they're going to need to tackle at all 3 levels well to have any chance whatsoever of winning if Northumberland wants to slow down what the Trojans can present to them on the ground. I think it's just going to be a hard matchup for Northumberland. They have the speed advantage in a lot of games, but this is not one where I think they overwhelm with speed. But Avari Walker, Zay Bundy, I think both coming off 100-yard games will be very effective yet again for Todd Jones's Trojans. Sussex Central out to Vista. Really curious to see how this game goes for these 2 teams. Number 1, Alta Vista, close game. Its last time out with Brunswick, 30-26. That being said, their offense is very confident they can move the ball, whether it is on Sussex Central or any defense that they see. In fact, one of the guys who's really stepped up this year for Alta Vista in its first season under coach Matt Deloach has been the guy that's playing the QB spot, and we're talking about Mr. Pippin. No, it's not Scotty for Alta Vista. It's the young man for the Colonels that's playing some quarterback, running the football and throwing it. Jordan Pippin, senior QB. He's thrown for 541 yards. He's got 22 touchdowns, 10 through the air, just 3 picks, 12 rushing touchdowns. He's got almost 1,000 yards on the ground. And then you've got LaDanian Stone, a junior who's got 1,460 yards rushing and 24 touchdowns. So the Sussex Central defense has its work cut out for them. And they needed a pick 6 from Brown to end the game last week, 38-24 over William Campbell. They do have 3 players right around 1,000 yards rushing, including Malcolm Bivens. You've got Anthony Cropper. He's putting up over 13 yards a carry. Rashawn Silver, he's over 13 yards a carry, closing in on, I think, 1,000 plus. Then you got a sophomore making big tackles in Jameer Williams. I think Sussex's defense will make a couple more big plays this week late in the game, maybe not throughout the game, to win what will be probably a shootout type of game, high-scoring affair in Region 1B to see who will get the right to see Essex or Northumberland. We think it's going to be Essex in that one. Region 1C, this is the hardest game of the week for me to call. The hardest game of the week for me to call, bar none. Galax George Wythe. I'm really fascinated to see what happens in this rematch. Remember, Maroons opened the season 2-3, 34-19 loss at the end of September to Galax. So you say that and you go, all right, what's going to happen here? It's going to be deja vu. Well, it might be. But George Wythe last year, they had back-to-back regular season losses to Graham and Grundy, then went on to win 6 straight before falling in the Class 1 finals to Riverheads. Tadron Tucker, junior year in for over 2,100 yards and 20 touchdowns. I'm curious to see if it's going to be the running game of Galax that gets it done, or will Tandem Smith and the George Wythe passing game set the tone in this ball game. It's the one game that we've highlighted that Ed and I differ on besides Riverhead Central Woodstock. He's got Wythe 23-21. I've got Galax 27-26. I think this is a total flip of the coin game. I don't think it's going to be lopsided. Little surprised Galax beat Grayson County 14-0, but the way their defense has played in 2 playoff games, I like the direction they're going. Wythe was a little bit more leaky in their quarterfinal with Perry McClure. Doesn't mean that'll be the case here, obviously, in this game. And then you have the 1D final, Honaker, Rye Cove. They played earlier this year. Honaker was victorious, 40-32 in a shootout. Rye Cove has now won 9 straight since that point, beating Twin Springs twice, 18-7 as they exited Abel Dingus and the Titans. Landon Lane's having a good year, but so too is Honaker's superstar wide receiver. We're talking about Parker Bandy. Boy, is he flourishing. Last week in the Region 1D semis against Patrick Henry Glade Spring, 10 grabs, 191 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He was just super scintillating, sensational to steal the Dick Vitale line. And he comes in with 83 grabs for 18 touchdowns, over 1,200 yards receiving. Peyton Music is closing in on 3,200 yards passing. He's got 47 touchdown tosses. This air raid attack, which is so fun to watch for Class 1, 45.8 per contest. It's hard to go against Honaker's offense. Even if the defense has some letdowns, this team is so, I guess you could say, overwhelming. They wear you out. And it's not the type of running game that wears you out. It's the passing. But they do have the ability to run the football because they can go to the ground when they have to. Aiden Lowe can run it. They have different guys that can step in and make a play. They're not just dependent on Music or Bandy. So give me Honaker. 42-28 is my final tally in that one. That covers all the region championship games across the state. Extended edition of the podcast here today. Enjoy your high school football action across VA. I certainly will be checking out some games online this afternoon, then heading to one into 757 on this evening. Again, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube page with the Virginia Beach Sportsplex, and we'll talk to you again on Saturday with 757 Saturday Sports Talk from the Plex, although it won't be from the Plex. It'll be right here in my living room with that big piano in the background, even though Coach Young will make lots and lots and lots of fun of it. So enjoy your sports weekend, everyone, and we'll talk to you again next week as we get closer and closer to December. Enjoy.